on this Friday night.
I won't ever let this go. I'll never forget this.
Colleagues of Jamal Khashoggi express grief and anger. Turkish officials say they have evidence he was tortured and killed. We ask what the U.S. government will do.
The correlation between blood and impairment is not very clear.
Getting high will be legal next week, but what happens if you drive high? The rules are more controversial than you may think.
You think racism can control me? Oh, that don't stop me. That's an invisible wall.
And what to make of Kanye's Oval Office outburst. Our pop panelists here with their take. Superstars in politics, a Friday night treat. This is The National.
Did the Saudi regime murder a dissident journalist in Istanbul? Turkey says it has video and audio recordings proving that Jamal Khashoggi was killed. They haven't made them public, but the claims are being taken very seriously by his employer, The Washington Post.
He was interrogated, beaten, and we believe tortured, as it was described to us, and also ultimately was killed. And there is evidence also of his body being dismembered, according to people who are familiar with what these recordings show.
Tonight, we'll look at what's being done to get to the bottom of Khashoggi's disappearance and the international reaction to it. But let's start with what we know so far about what happened that day. On Tuesday, October 2nd, Khashoggi was in Istanbul with his Turkish fiancée to pick up paperwork from the Saudi consulate they needed to get married. His contact inside, someone named Sultan. At 1:14 p.m., a camera showed him going inside while she waited outside with his 2 cell phones. The building has 5 cameras, but so far there is no footage of him leaving. Also significant, according to Turkish officials, earlier that same day, 15 Saudi men flew into Istanbul on 2 private jets. These images purportedly show them at 2 hotels in the city. More detailed information, including their birth dates and the exact time they cleared passport control, was leaked to a Turkish newspaper. Officials identified this man as an expert on gathering DNA evidence and dissecting human bodies, which they believe supports the theory they shared with the New York Times that one of the men, quote, dismembered his body with a bone saw they brought for the purpose. Turkey also says Khashoggi was wearing an Apple Watch inside the consulate that was linked to one of his phones. They're now examining that data for things like his heart rate and location. Black vans were seen leaving the Saudi consulate on October 2nd, one of which went to the residence of the Saudi Consul General. And finally, Turkey says flight records show the Saudi men left the country at the end of the day. And no one is watching this closer than The Washington Post. Today, Khashoggi's colleagues published a full-page ad in protest, along with this video version. Their simple, resolute message: demand answers. How to respond to this will obviously be a big test for the United States, and the CBC's Keith Bogue is watching that from Washington. Keith.
Well, Rosie, the latest is that President Trump says he'll be calling the Saudi monarch, King Salman, soon to talk about it. But so far, Trump has been cautious both about jumping to conclusions as to what happened and who's responsible, and also about what responsibility the U.S. has to Khashoggi. Listen to his comments from yesterday as he alludes to the fact that Khashoggi is not a U.S. citizen, and then bridges to the economic relationship the U.S. has with Saudi Arabia.
First, I want to find out what happened, and we're looking. Again, this took place in Turkey, and to the best of our knowledge, Khashoggi is not a United States citizen. Is that right, or is that right? He's a permanent resident, okay. We don't like it, John. We don't like it, and we don't like it even a little bit. But as to whether or not we should stop $110 billion from being spent in this country, knowing they have 4 or 5 alternatives, 2 very good alternatives, that would not be acceptable to me. Okay.
So that's not a hard-line response. That's a soft-line response. But it's consistent with what Trump has said in other contexts about the Middle East, that on his watch, the U.S. is not going to lecture other countries or tell them how they should live.
Okay, yeah, he gave that message, I guess, on his first trip overseas, which incidentally was to Saudi Arabia, and he was trying to make a point by doing that. Are there worries about how any of this will be interpreted now?
Well, indeed, there have been. Essentially, the worry has been that Trump was signaling that human rights were not going to be a big deal for him. Other world leaders have sometimes taken similar positions in foreign policy, but the difference with Trump is how much he seems to actually admire some of the most authoritarian leaders in the world. Here's what one Canadian-based observer told the CBC Today.
Developing these budding relationships with these dictators is really quite something. That often happened in the back room, and now it's for all to see. So I think it is shaping and emboldening many of these governments like Saudi Arabia to take on these hit jobs, knowing that, or thinking that, the Americans are basically going to look the other way.
So the question may be, Rosie, does this incident only further encourage the view that Trump is indifferent to human rights abuses in other countries?
Keith, thanks for this tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Canada's Prime Minister was asked about the Khashoggi affair today.
This particular case is, of course, of concern, and we join with our allies around the world in expressing serious issues with these reports. Obviously, there is a lot more to uncover on what happened here, so I'm not going to comment too much on this.
Trudeau also reiterated that Canada will call for human rights to be respected around the world, including in Saudi Arabia. The comments come as Ottawa's relations with the kingdom, though, remain tense. There's a Canadian angle on this story, too, and it involves a Saudi Arabian dissident who now lives in this country as a permanent resident. In fact, we told you recently about Omar Abdulaziz, a Saudi activist granted refugee status here in 2014. He said his family in Saudi Arabia has been jailed because of his outspoken views. And the Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto found that Abdulaziz's phone was hacked by powerful malware. The most likely culprit was connected to the Saudi regime. So Omar's concern was how many other activists could have been exposed by that hack.
You know, I have friends from everywhere. Maybe they were listening to every single call that we had. They were listening, they were reading our chat.
Now Abdulaziz is speaking out about Jamal Khashoggi, and Wendy Mesley, host of The Weekly, is here for more on that. Wendy, what have you learned?
Hi, Rosemary. Yeah, Omar says he has been friends with Jamal Khashoggi for years, and that several months ago, Khashoggi confirmed that to a producer here at the National. Omar says he had communicated with Khashoggi using that infected phone during the time that it was hacked, and that during that period that they talked critically about the Saudi regime and about a project to counter its online propaganda, that Khashoggi even had plans to come and meet with him here in Canada. He didn't want to appear on camera to talk about this, but we do have some audio from him, and here's what he said.
And yes, Mr. Jamal Khashoggi, and I'm sorry to say that, he was contacting me via my cell phone, the one that was hacked. So I'm pretty sure that they were listening to the interviews, they were reading the conversations that we had.
I talked to Ron Diebert about this, the head of the Citizens Lab, again today, and he confirmed that if the Saudis did indeed hack Omar's phone, which he believes, they would have had access to not just chats, but emails, texts, files, the camera, everything. And he says that Omar and other activists have reason to be concerned about the consequences of this kind of spyware.
Okay, and you'll have lots more, obviously, on this story on The Weekly, Sunday morning at 11. Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Ahead on The National, everyone's still talking about Kanye, but is he fair game? Our pop panel sounds off on that.
Plus, why a wedding day choice made by the royal bride means the world to a young Canadian.
But first, legal pot hits the stores and the roads next week. The federal government wants to make it clear, pot and driving don't mix. So it passed new impaired driving laws earlier this year. Laws that one pot investor is looking to fight. Because as Catherine Cullen explains, it's not easy testing who's too high to drive.
This is the most advanced driving simulator in Canada.
This Toronto lab is a safe place to study how drugs can affect driving. Researchers here say testing a driver's blood level for THC, a chemical in pot that makes users feel high, isn't a very good way to judge if someone should be behind the wheel.
Unfortunately, there is not a clear link between how much THC is in the blood and how much a person is impaired.
But that's the measure the federal government has embraced as it prepares for legalization, creating 3 new driving offenses based on how much THC is in a driver's bloodstream. Not everyone is sold.
It's just an arbitrary line, and so when that line carries criminal and penalties with it, that's an issue.
Chuck Raffici is working with lawyers to prepare a legal challenge. He helped found pop producer Tweed and now runs pot investment company Oxley. He's also a former treasurer with the Federal Liberals, the very party whose government he's now trying to challenge. Raffici says he's dedicated $25,000 of his own pot earnings to the cause.
And this law, should cause people great concern. And I think Canadians should be able to consume and enjoy cannabis on a weekend and not be worried about driving on the Monday morning.
This legislation will save lives.
The government is standing by its approach. Asked about the legal challenge, Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould said the law complies with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Follow the pen when I move it.
As police get ready for legalization, some acknowledge that legal challenges of the new impaired driving law are just about inevitable.
Well, certainly with any new legislation, there's going to be a period where there's going to be some contested cases in court, and we have to work through the legislation.
Now, there is a bit of a twist. The new blood drug concentration law has been in effect since June, but senior government officials recently revealed that they're not sure anyone has been charged under it. They say police forces will start to use the law, but for now, they're stopping high drivers the same way they have for years with the laws that are already on the books. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Part of the reason why no one has been charged under the new law may be because of the detection method required. If the driver is believed to be at or over the legal limit, police officers will demand a roadside saliva test. If the results are positive, they then need to get a blood sample. That needs to be done within 2 hours and requires a third party, like a nurse, to administer it. Then, based on the reading police officers would get, here's what drivers could face. A driver with between 2 and 5 nanograms of THC per milliliter of blood could face a maximum fine of $1,000. More than 5 nanograms, though, and things start to get more serious. Jail time becomes a possibility. And if you mix cannabis with another drug, say alcohol, the penalties can be even steeper. Then you're talking about a minimum $1,000 fine, jail time, and if you injure or kill someone, of course, everything changes again. You could be looking at maximums between 10 years and life in prison.
Another lavish royal wedding played out today in Windsor Castle. The Queen's granddaughter, Princess Eugenie, married her boyfriend of 8 years, Jack Brooksbank. But Eugenie, the critics argue, is merely a part-time royal with no official public role. And as Thomas Dagler reports, they're wondering why taxpayers are footing part of the bill.
Deja vu in the streets of Windsor. Royal fans getting up extra early to catch a glimpse of the latest newlyweds.
Every little detail is incredibly exciting.
This time, the wind made wedding fashion tricky. Except for the most senior royal, who arrived with her 97-year-old husband, Prince Philip, in tow. Then, cue the bride. Showing up to her big day with her father, Prince Andrew. Princess Eugenie trading her famously distinctive headwear for the Queen's tiara, welcomed by her groom, Jack Brooksbank, who donned his glasses for a better view of his bride.
I, Eugenie Victoria Helena.
Take the Jack Christopher stamp.
The royals set aside differences, letting the bride's mother in green, Sarah Ferguson, sit up front despite a long-standing rift with the family. The bride will go back to her day job in an art gallery. The groom won't get a royal title. And that all just highlights the $3.5 million controversy. That cost, £2 million British pounds, is to cover security. The family paid for the ceremony. Anti-monarchy campaigners submitted a petition to Parliament with 40,000 signatures demanding no taxpayer money fund the event.
Somebody whose father is reportedly a multi-millionaire shouldn't be relying on the taxpayer to pay for part of her dream wedding.
The carriage ride through town increased security costs for the government.
I don't know how keen Eugenie was herself for a royal carriage procession, but Andrew felt that it was very, very important.
She may be 9th in line to the throne, but for one day, the spotlight was squarely on Eugenie and Jack. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, Windsor, England.
The big moment of any wedding, and especially a royal wedding, is when the dress is revealed. But for Princess Eugenie, a lot of attention is being paid to what it revealed. This is the scar along Eugenie's spine from scoliosis surgery she had as a child. In an interview with ITV, the princess explained why she wanted her dress to show it off.
I think you can change the way beauty is and you can show people your scars, and I think it's really special to stand up for that.
Earlier this year, Eugenie revealed x-rays from the time she was treated for scoliosis as a child. It's a condition that causes the spine to bend to one side, making the back appear rounded.
When I was first diagnosed, it was definitely extremely overwhelming. I didn't know anybody else with this condition, so I really felt alone and isolated.
Her decision to display her scar so prominently on such an important day has drawn praise from many young people.
It was amazing to see somebody who is so influential within society just really owning her scoliosis, just showcasing her scar as well and building that into her story of her wedding. It was so meaningful.
Eugenie says she hoped showing her scar would honor those who had helped her and inspire others with scoliosis. Still ahead on The National. From Kanye to Taylor Swift, pop went political this week. The pop panel is here to break it all down.
Plus, the world's fastest man moves from the track to the pitch. Usain Bolt's stellar debut soccer start is our moment.
And as new faces hit the big and small screens, a new push for diversity on stage, too.
Gay men have been fans of opera for hundreds of years, but sadly there just hasn't been any big characters who are gay on the stage.
You really should have told me that you're like the Prince William of Asia.
That's ridiculous. Much more of a Harry.
With recent blockbusters like Crazy Rich Asians and series like Blackish returning for a 5th season, it's clear that film and television are starting to catch on. Audiences are hungry for more diverse and inclusive stories.
From now on, we will be Black out loud.
Well, now it seems the more traditional world of opera is getting with the program, too. Hadrian is a new opera about gay relationships, composed by pop star Rufus Wainwright and staged by the Canadian Opera Company. The world premiere is tomorrow, but as Deanna Sumanak-Johnson explains, it's already turning heads.
A forbidden love story, betrayal and sex. Hadrian has all the ingredients of a classic opera, with one difference. The relationship in question is between two men, Roman Emperor Hadrian and the Greek man some believe to have been his true love.
I'm a gay man, and gay men have been fans of opera for hundreds of years, but sadly there just hasn't been any big characters who are gay on the stage. So I felt it necessary to kind of give back to this form that I love so much.
Rufus Wainwright's new project is the highest profile example of opera's very recent exploration of same-sex relationships. Backed by the biggest opera company in Canada and with a pop star at its helm, it's bound to attract greater attention. And while nearly nude bodies on stage and a sex scene between two men may alienate more traditional opera goers, it may bring in new audiences.
A completely queer production team.
This young opera fan sees about 40 operas a year. But as a gay man, he's only now seeing himself represented on stage.
If you want to have diverse audiences in your theater, you need to show diversity on stage. And I think Rufus has created an opera that really shows this queerness in opera and helps identify with the queerness in Toronto.
And it's not just gay composers who are getting a chance to finally tell their own stories in operatic form. The new music director of the Metropolitan Opera in New York commissioned 2 new operas written by women.
I'm very proud of these 2 commissions for women composers, but this is only the beginning. We need to also be representative of the African American community, of the Latin American community.
Not all those new stories carry with them the potential to shock traditional opera audiences. Rufus Wainwright doesn't think his will either.
The romanticism, the pageantry, you know, the drama. This is what real staunch opera lovers adore, and I think most of them are pretty sophisticated, and so they'll be. I don't think they'll actually be as phased as one would think.
bringing in new audiences while keeping the old, the toughest chord to strike for the opera world as it fights for its survival. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
It was racy for the National. To give you an idea of the impact a representation can have, a new film is being gradually released in theaters this month. It's really touching a nerve.
My name is Star. 2 R's. Daddy named me that.
The Hate U Give tells the story of Star Carter, a teenager caught between two worlds, that of her home in a predominantly black middle and lower class neighborhood, and that of her predominantly white upper class prep school. It doesn't shy away from heavy subject matter too, like racial profiling. It's based on a best-selling book that spent 84 weeks at the top of the New York Times Young Adult list. Toronto Public Library held a preview screening for teens and spoke with CBC's Eli Glasner afterward.
It affected me so much because, I mean, this is kind of heavy, but I've dealt with this.
Yeah.
My family, you know, we've lost people to gun violence, and it's a heavy topic, obviously. And no one should have to go through losing their son, their fathers, their grandfathers, their brothers, even their sisters. Like, no one should have to see their last moments pointed, like having to see a gun pointed at their faces their last moments.
We had to be taught to act a certain way when police is around, and that's because the color of our skin, because our color is a weapon, and you don't see that happening with other people because they don't need to worry depending on the color of their skin.
I'm so proud in our generation that they finally put out movies and show that, this is actually going on. It's not a fairy tale. This is stuff that goes on in everybody's life in different ways.
Angie, the author of this, right? She looks like you. She lived this life. She wrote the book. Maybe this gets back to her. What would you tell her after you've seen this?
I love your book and your movie.
Thank you for being real. Yeah. Thank you for showing us the other side of the story, not what the news just wants us to hear. Thank you for showing us that there's a reason behind why people drug deal or why they were out that night. Thank you for showing us that the black man isn't always the criminal.
Still ahead on The National, Kanye, Trump, and Taylor. What a week in pop culture and politics. And so, we'll bring in the pop panel next.
Remember when Kanye pulled his "I'm gonna let you finish, Taylor" spectacle at the MTV Video Music Awards around a decade ago?
Kanye West and Taylor Swift are back in the news again, and this time it's not about an award show or a shady lyric. Taylor Swift took to Instagram and advocated voter registration to her 112 million followers and also endorsed 2 Democratic candidates in Tennessee. And then just yesterday, Kanye met with President Donald Trump while wearing a Make America Great Again hat.
I'm Donovan Bennett, writer and host for Sportsnet. If you were to tell me back in 2009 that Taylor Swift, of all people, would be the liberal social justice warrior and Kanye West would be trumping literally for a Republican president, I would have thought you were crazy, but here we are.
I'm Ishani Nath, and I'm the senior editor at Flair.com.
I'm Stephen Marsh, a random Toronto writer. Taylor Swift has never been woke. She's never tried to fuse her politics into her art or make her politics an aesthetic act. And I think we're starting to realize now, about 2 years into the Trump administration, with the antics of people like Kanye, just how healthy and even necessary that is.
Why are we even listening to celebrities when it comes to news and politics?
This is influencer culture at its peak.
So let's start with the topic a lot of people are still talking about more than 24 hours after Kanye West was in the White House speaking, some say ranting for 10 minutes straight, carried live by some of the news channels. And here's a little excerpt.
I love Hillary, I love everyone, right? But the campaign "I'm with her" just didn't make me feel as a guy that didn't get to see my dad all the time, like a guy that could play catch with his son. It was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman.
Donovan, let's start with you. What do we make of that?
I mean, we were talking about this in the green room, and I've gone from being sad for him to mad at him to feeling indifferent. And I almost feel like the cocktail of the Kardashians and the Trump reality show has him so far in a sunken place that I feel like he's a missed opportunity because he's a musical genius and he has this platform and he's wasting it, but also he's normalizing the fact that you can just say things that aren't facts and expect to be believed.
What's your feeling on it, Shani?
I feel like it is totally awful, and we need to stop there. Like, this should not be normal. We should not have a hip-hop artist being invited to the White House to advise the president. He has no qualifications to do that. I think
the president doesn't have any qualifications, right? He's a reality television star.
That's a great point. And when people are mad at the fact that a celebrity, albeit Kanye on one side or Taylor Swift on the other, is talking about politics, the politician in the highest office is a celebrity. Like, celebrity culture got him there, and I think that's where we're at in 2018.
What about the role of the media in all of this? Even in our editorial meeting today, some people were saying it's not really fair to show 10 minutes of Kanye on the news channels because clearly this is a guy that's having some difficulties. He talked about being off his meds. Is it fair?
Look, I mean, the media vastly overrates its power all the time anyway, but in stuff
I don't think you can say that here.
I'm not allowed to say that in CBC. But in this case, it's really, the cart is gone before the horse here. I mean, what's happening here is a social media phenomena that has absolutely nothing to do with what the New York Times or the CBC or legitimate, news organizations are doing. This is all out there in the world of total image. And that's the world that Trump inhabits, it's the world that Kanye inhabits, and it's our world.
And Donovan, one other thing I want to ask about. At the beginning, you talked about the various emotions you had, and one of them was angry. You were at some points in this angry at Kanye. About what?
Well, I mean, first of all, as a minority, as a black man, we don't often have that platform. And he could be speaking to real issues that impact his community. And he wasn't. He was talking about hydrogen planes and the president needs to be fly. And the other part that I'm angry at is the fact that, on the flip side, the president entertaining this at a time when, people in Florida are struggling, people in Georgia are struggling. And sadly, the plight of other normal people at times falls on deaf ears.
Now, weirdly, Kanye West and Taylor Swift have been linked for years, dating back to 2009. You may remember this moment.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
So that was Kanye at, I think, the MTV Video Music Awards, going up there and interrupting what should have been Taylor Swift's moment in the sun, although she's had many moments since then. She's back in the news because on Sunday she posted on Instagram that people should be registering to vote. And also she was touting 2 Democratic candidates for the Senate in Tennessee. And a lot of people wondering, is it appropriate for her to be wading into the political waters? Is it maybe too late for her to do it? She should have done it before. Shani, what do you think?
So I'm going to step carefully because I know we have a Taylor Swift fan in the house.
And you are or not a fan?
And I am not. And I at first thought I was going to come in here and say, she was way late on this. She should. What would have happened if she had done this in 2016? We could have been having a completely different conversation. But with Kanye on the other side, I think Taylor's example is advocating and standing up for something that you believe in and voicing your opinion, and that is her right. Where she is different than Kanye is she is not touting to be an expert. She's not saying, I know everything about this, here's what you should believe. She's advocating for people to make their own choices and also vote, and I don't think you can fault her for that.
I don't know that you fit into the classic Taylor Swift fandom demographic.
On the record is I think she's a superb artist.
Yeah,
I think she's a great singer-songwriter. Totally legitimate.
I actually feel that way too, legitimately. You're not laughing at us, are you?
No,
I think they're both laughing at us.
I didn't know this was the demo. I'm learning.
I'm saying it's not the demo. But what did you feel about what she did on Sunday?
Well, Taylor Swift has always sort of removed herself from politics. She has no political songs. They're all just love songs. They're all songs about being a tortured 20-year-old with lots of money. But for her, she has really not participated in the aestheticization of politics and the politics of art the way that so many pop stars have. But I mean, I think in 2018, it's really like, they're losing their democracy now, and the time has come for everyone to make their politics clear, you can't really avoid it. So, you know, I actually think she's a model for how this works, right? Like Kanye, you know, Kanye has a genius that Taylor Swift will never have, right? Like Kanye has a genius where he just inhabits the moment of his time in such an iconic way and so fully. But that's also a really terrible thing because the time is so brutal and so dehumanizing. Whereas I think she's trying to find some kind of balance, and I just have a lot of respect for that.
Okay, let's completely change topics now. and this is a complicated one. This is about the Ancestry DNA, which a lot of you are probably familiar with. Maybe you've gotten them to find out what your ancestry is. Linking up with Spotify, the streaming music service. And now what you can do is you can go to their website and you can get a stream that is compatible with your genetic background. Stephen, your genetic background apparently is Northern Italy.
Yeah, and Scotland as well.
What do you
worst
think of this?
musical playlist of all time.
Oh,
like, you know,
Easton.
oompa bands and like tattoo music, I think is probably what it would be. I mean, come on. Didn't we move to a new country in order to have access to the fruits of the world and the cultural fruits of the world? And like, I just cannot imagine why this would be tasteful to people.
There is that ad where people don't realize that they love Polish food until they realize that their ancestry is related to Poland. This is kind of the musical equivalent of that. I sense you don't like it.
I do not like this. A spokesperson for Ancestry talked about how this is a way for people to now not only read about their culture and have that data, but also experience their culture. And I think that idea encapsulates my whole issue with this, is that if people take this test, they think that they are somehow part of a culture just because their genetics have a certain percentage linking them to a region. That does not give you ownership of a culture that you were previously not part of. If I'm all of a sudden 2% Chinese, that does not make me Chinese Canadian. Culture is something we create, genetics are something we're born with, and conflating the two is dangerous.
Your view, Donovan?
Well, to me, I mean, me and my wife joke about ideas that were better in a boardroom and then in real life they're just not very good. And I think this is a great example. Like, where was the great need for this? Like this niche that people needed. And for me, again, AI is supposed to make it better for you specifically because we understand your tastes, your likes.
Artificial intelligence, yeah.
Exactly,
like
thank you.
Yeah, algorithms, yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, I want this curated to me specifically, not my ancestry. You know, my ancestry in many parts is West Indian. My wife's, from what I can tell, is West Hamilton. but she listens to more reggae music and eats more plantain than I do. Yeah. So I'm not really sure that this is going to be of interest to anyone.
Yeah, I plugged my genetics in there and it didn't have a single ABBA song.
No, really.
So
well, there you go.
You have no music.
Yeah, it did not reflect what I like. Okay, we have 30 seconds for each of you for your hot take, your suggestion of what people should watch, or Stephen, what they shouldn't.
I'm the only person you're going to hear this from, but A Star Is Born is not that good a movie. It's going to win all the awards, I'm sure. It fulfills checks all the boxes, but it's a melodrama with some pretty bad music in it and not very believable character arcs.
Okay, host privilege. The music's fantastic. The acting is incredible. But okay, that's fine. Your hot pick, hot take, or what to stay away from?
No, I think you need to watch this. Need to binge watch it. It's HBO's The Circus.
So you got the final version?
It's a political docuseries.
Yeah, I have not seen it. I hear great things about it.
You need to. It basically recaps the week in Washington and beyond. Every Sunday night, they stop taping at Friday and they flip it by Sunday, which in the business is really tough. Yeah. It should be taught in civics classes and in journalism classes. It's great.
And it's on the Movie Channel, I think.
In Canada, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ishani?
This is a show that's been around for a little while, Atypical.
It's a rough world out there. That's why you need your family.
So Atypical premiered last year. The second season just hit Netflix in September. It kind of died down in terms of buzz, but it's really, really great. It follows a teenage boy who's on the autism spectrum, and this season they actually hired 8 other actors with autism. So it's really great in terms of representing a group of people that we don't tend to see on screen, and it's just a great sitcom.
Sounds terrific. Are you guys podcast listeners?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my pick is Nexium. It's a CBC podcast about, is it a sex cult? Is it just a self-improvement group?
I heard great things about that.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've binge listened to it, and I recommend other people to too. It is so great talking to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
was lots of fun, and I want to be friends with Donovan, so I'll see if I can make that happen. Next up on The National, putting yourself in the picture. Meet a young Muslim photographer who set out to widen the perspective and change the way Canadians view Muslim women.
The common thread between all the Muslim women I've profiled in my project is that we all really care about changing the stereotypical image of Muslim women, and we all choose to go about doing that in our own ways.
This morning we just rescued 2 individuals from a house less than 2 blocks from here.
Tonight on The National, the search for survivors is continuing in the Florida Panhandle. More than a dozen deaths are being attributed to Hurricane Michael, and officials fear that number is only going to rise with the cleanup. You can see why. This is what's left of Mexico Beach, Florida, which took a direct hit on Wednesday. President Donald Trump says he'll be visiting the state as well as Georgia next week to tour the damage. 2 men have been arrested following the death of a 19-year-old in Quebec. 38-year-old René Cagle and 31-year-old Francis Martel appeared in court today, charged with the first-degree murder of Ophélie Martin-Sierre. The teen's body was found in a field west of Trois-Rivières on Wednesday. Police say she was last seen alive on Tuesday night by a friend. That friend called for help after escaping from a moving vehicle. It's not clear if Martin-Sierre was in that vehicle. CBC Radio Canada spoke with her roommate who said, until recently, she and Martin-Sierre hung out with the same crowd.
C'est vraiment au niveau des mauvaises fréquentations, en fait. Là, des fois, on est avec des gens qu'on est conscient que c'est des gens qu'on ne peut pas avoir confiance, que c'est des mauvaises personnes. Sauf que, tu sais, par le passé, je peux le dire, j'ai eu du plaisir avec les personnes, avec les personnes qu'elle était avec cette soirée-là. Puis, je sais que je me serais pas attendue à ce que ça dégénère comme ça. Mettons, jamais j'aurais pu penser que ça irait aussi loin.
Police believe Martin-Sierre's death is connected to the deaths of 2 other people. Their bodies were found in a torched car not far from where she went missing. Those victims have not yet been identified.
Quebec's incoming premier is defending his decision to keep a crucifix hanging in the legislature, while at the same time moving forward with his plan to ban certain civil servants from wearing religious symbols like the hijab or the kippah.
I think it's part of our history, and I don't see that as a religious sign.
François Legault is arguing that Protestants and Catholics helped build Quebec's values. So that's history, not simply religion. Legault won't be sworn in as Premier of Quebec until October 18th. But that didn't stop thousands of protesters from gathering in downtown Montreal last weekend, chanting, "Legault has got to go." It was moments of controversy like this that acted as moments of inspiration for one young Canadian photographer. Meet Alia Youssef. She wanted to change the perception around Muslim women in Canada, so she and her camera traveled across the country to create a photo series she called the Sisters Project.
I'm a mom, professor.
I'm a business owner, I'm a wife and a sister.
I am a political scientist,
filmmaker, actress, and community organizer.
I'm a graduate student, clinical researcher, and dog lover.
It's so important to change the narratives that go on about Muslim women because those narratives often don't speak about Muslim women as people. We see images of Muslim women where she is often silent, she is often in no control over her life, she's at the will of her male counterpart, she is oppressed. And I would like that to change because there are so many Muslim women in Canada who are doing incredible things, who need a spotlight on themselves. I began the Sisters Project a year and a half ago, wanting to show the diversity of who Muslim women are. Actually going across Canada to 12 different cities, I noticed that there are so many interpretations of what a Muslim woman can be. So many different ways that she can express herself, that she can interpret her faith, that she can go about living her life. And there's so many shades of this identity, and there's no way to pinpoint a kind of Muslim woman. I moved to Canada in 2004, so slightly after 9/11, and I moved to a very privileged neighborhood in North Vancouver where I wasn't surrounded by other Muslim women. That experience made me go from being so proud and so excited to talk about my religion and my faith, as I did when I was in Egypt, to closing down and being more reserved about what I was sharing with people, because some of the comments that I got right away after moving made me feel like my background wasn't okay to share because I was automatically being judged. So that left me growing up feeling like that was something I needed to hide about myself. I think on a subconscious level, I must have noticed the invisibility of Muslim women and noticed how much that, hurt or that was sad. So yeah, I think it makes sense that now I'm doing my best to counter all of those feelings I felt when I was younger. I was so excited about the prospect of developing sisterhood amongst Muslim women. It was something that I didn't have the opportunity to do while I was growing up in Vancouver, and it was something that I yearned for very deeply.
Small smile.
Right?
I really like this pose.
As Muslim women, we kind of face this pressure both from inside our community and from the outside to perform our Muslimness in a certain way, right? There's always a picture everybody has of what a Muslim woman looks like and what she's supposed to act like. We have to constantly battle this idea that we're perpetual victims, right? We can never be caregivers, family members, and contributors to society when that image of the victim sort of takes away from all the other things that we do.
I've encountered every kind of Muslim woman on the spectrum. I've photographed many, many converts. I've encountered women who wear the veil, women who don't wear the veil, scientists or in STEM, engineers, artists, queer Muslims. I've met with Muslim women who are family doctors, who are PhD researchers. What the most amazing thing is, there's so much resilience within the community and people who are doing incredible jobs and work.
So here's a bunch we finished up already for you.
These look so
Ready
amazing.
to hang?
The common thread between all the Muslim women I've profiled in my project is that we all really care about changing the stereotypical image of Muslim women, and we all choose to go about doing that in our own ways. I'm excited by the fact that these women have taught me that there are many different ways to embrace spirituality and faith in my life. None are wrong and none are right. They're just individual preferences, and I think that's really beautiful, to find your own space within the spectrum of who Muslim women are in this country and in this world.
Next on The National, our moment. Usain Bolt makes the move from the track to the pitch.
Now I was just trying to remind myself to set up to get a good shot. That's all I was telling myself. As long as I got the guy off my shoulders, I was like, you know what, just set up yourself, make sure you hit the target, because that's always the key thing. So that's what I did.
We went to the slimes. It's like quicksand, and you can seriously get stuck.
You're sinking.
Uh-oh.
I've just used a piece of wood.
It is like a rubber boot graveyard.
A new episode of Still Standing, Tuesday on CBC.
Every once in a while, the world produces an athlete who seems unbeatable, unmatched, invincible. And then there's Usain Bolt, who's just about all those things and yet still unsatisfied. After winning 8 Olympic golds on the track, the fastest man in the world wants to become the fastest man on the pitch. And his big moment in the spotlight as a soccer player is our moment of the day.
I'm here to prove to the world, as I said, that I can be a footballer.
Bolt may just be the most recognizable name in the Australian A-League these days. And sure enough, in this, his first start, whenever he had a scoring chance, the crowd was right there with him, even when it didn't work out. But Bolt would not leave today empty-handed. And yes, some things never change.
It was brilliant, you know what I mean? It takes all the weight off your shoulders, you know what I mean? That first goal to relax you, because I missed one earlier, which I wasn't happy with myself.
And perhaps it's fitting, the only man who could outdo Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt.
I just did what I had to do, and that's as far as I can go.
So fun fact, after he scores the first goal, we see he does his famous lightning bolt pose. Second goal, right after, you didn't see it in the video, but he does a celebration dance from a very popular video game called Fortnite, which suggests, maybe he's a fan. And makes me wonder what he might have done if he had scored a third time. What glimpse into Usain Bolt?
Do the dance.
Oh,
Do the dance now.
No, the box is too thin. I couldn't possibly do it here.
Gee, Rosie, I'm glad one of us knows this Fortnite e-game stuff, because really it was lost on me and maybe you too. So good for you, Andrew, for pointing that out. I would say, I wish Usain the best in the world. He's a fantastic guy and athlete from all I can tell. But every step up the ladder in professional soccer is going to get tougher and tougher and tougher for him.
Yeah, and doesn't it remind you of Michael Jordan, right? When he left basketball and then he tried baseball. See, aren't I impressing you with my sports knowledge here?
You are.
You're a pro.
I know, and it didn't work out. Anyway, I hope it works out for him there.
Do the Fortnite dance now.
There's still time.
That's the National for Friday, October 12th. Good night.
Good night.